Thank you again for joining us. This is the Introduction to Digital Education session run by me. My name is Andreas and I work for CTEL as a learning technologist. And my colleague is also here in the session supporting me. It's called Ben. And if you have any... Hello? Oh, there you go, Ben. I'll give you some time. Yep, that's Ben. And if you have any questions as I'm going through the presentation, you can always post these in the chat area. And if I don't notice them, then hopefully Ben will, and we'll bring those up. And there are some specific pause points in the presentation where we'll just stop and ask you for any comments or questions that you might have, which we will then address. Okay, so this is the Introduction to Digital Education session. Let's start off very quickly just by introducing yourselves maybe. So maybe you have opened a web browser. If you could open another tab and access this web address here, paulev.com/acons84. So if you could do this for me now. So paulev.com/acons84, and you should see an open text area where you can respond to the question of, who is here? Are you an academic? Are you professional services? What department do you work with? If you teach, what subject do you teach? And how long have you been with us here at KCL? So I'll give you a few moments to do that. If you could just go to the, just open a new tab in your browser and put in this this URL here, this address, paulev.com/acons84, and just answer this this simple question for us. So I'll give you a few moments. Let us know if you're having any trouble in the chat area. So there are a few responses coming in, which is great. Professional services for the business school. All right, 4 years. 4 years, great. I've been with KCL for 6 years, since 2012. Well, seems so long ago. Things were quite different back then. No CTEL back then. CTEL was created, I think, 2013. So, professional services, Department of Political Economy, third week. Okay, welcome. I hope you're enjoying it so far. I mean, this will definitely be useful for everyone, but, the newer you are, there are some things that we'll talk about that you probably, never heard of, but hopefully there are some other things that, even if you worked with Kings for a number of years, might come as a surprise to you that they exist. Professional services law, 6 years. Okay. Ooh, almost 10 years. All right. Ooh, just back from maternity leave, second time. Congratulations. Teaching fellow, nursing faculty, joined 6 weeks ago. Informatics, software engineering, 3 months. All right. So welcome everyone. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. So we have a range of different departments and different time at KCL durations, I guess could call it. All right, so moving on. So just to say this, what we just used is a system called Poll Everywhere, which we'll be discussing in a lot more detail in the next few slides. It's just as an example of how it can be used in your presentations. And the system that we're actually currently using to do this webinar is called the Adobe Connect, and it is also available to you to use with your students or colleagues. And we'll get to how you can do that in the next few slides as well. This session has been slotted in for an hour. I don't think it's going to take that long. Again, depending on your comments or your questions, it should take us maybe 40-45 minutes to complete. Again, at any point, make sure to post your questions in that chat area, and then we'll have a pause moment and get to those. So what are we going to do today? Okay, hopefully you can change the slide. Hello. All right. So today we're going to be looking at what type of support and guidance is available around the college for our colleagues here. What are the core tools that are available to support digital education at King's? And then what are some of the maybe additional tools that you could also bring into your daily professional lives and practices? Now, there are numerous tools out there that you could bring into your practice, but we are going to be focusing on those that are institutionally supported, and that means that there is documents, videos, guidance out there that's been developed either by us or colleagues from other institutions that you can you can be supported by, and you can utilize. And what I mean by institutionally supported is also that there are teams around the college that maybe specialize on these type of tools, and they could help you out if you need that assistance. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on those core tools. I mean, you could potentially use YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or whatever with your practice, but those aren't really institutionally supported by us. We don't have any documentation or specialists for those tools, but you can definitely feel free to experiment and use those as well. Okay. So probably one of the most important things to be aware of is to know where you can actually get some support. There are three levels of support around the college. The first one is your local TEL support, and these are people in your own departments that can be contacted, and they can support you with projects that you want to run or with different technologies that you want to use, and this all happens sort of locally in your department or faculty. For anything a little bit broader than that, you can contact IT support either by email or telephone, and they're usually there just for some general technical assistance. So maybe your computer stopped working, or maybe some equipment in the lecture theaters has stopped working. They are the go-to people that you can contact. Also, if you want to install maybe some new software on your computer that you need, some specialized software, they're the people that you need to contact. And generally, if there's anything that your local TEL team can't help you with, they'll probably direct you to the IT support people in any case. CTEL support, that's us, that's the Center for Technology Enhanced Learning. We run a number of CPDs like this one. This is in a webinar form, but we also have face-to-face sessions in our computer room here at the Waterloo campus, and I'll talk more about the CPDs in a few slides. We also do bespoke training. If you have specific colleagues or numbers in your team that you would like, you don't have enough time to attend maybe our CPDs, and you'd like a more bespoke session covering a broader range of topics, then that can also be arranged. And if there are any other projects that maybe are, have an institutional-wide impact that would be beneficial to others across the college as well, then we can also help you with our knowledge and with our guidance if that's something that you're interested in. So there are three levels of support, and I'd just like you to, oops, why did I go back? I need to go forward. And I'd like to take you to Keats now for a second, just to show you where you can actually get that support. So here I am inside Keats, and hopefully you can see that as well. And so I'm just in the webinars page right now, but at any point I could go up here to the support page, to the support tab, and there's a drop-down menu with support for students, and there's also support for staff. So if I click on the support for staff, these are pages that have been developed by CTEL. There's three sections here. There's one generally on using Keats, where you can find different documentation on how to actually use Keats and the different resources and activities that it has. There's also, there's also, I lost my thing. There it is. There's also a section on the CPDs. So for example, we're currently doing the webinar Introduction to Digital Education at King's, but every session that we run, you can find the content here, the workbooks, maybe quizzes, maybe additional resources. You can find everything under this section here. So this is our section for this session, the webinar, which if I can click on it, you'll see, there's some descriptions, and the presentation that I sent you by email, you can access it here as well. And there's also a feedback form which will ask you to fill in at the end of the session, and a quiz to test your knowledge of what we talked about today. And there's another section with some more additional resources that I won't go into right now. So also on the side here, there's the IT service desk. So if I click on this, that should take me directly to IT's page on the King's College internal, and you can get all the different types of information here of how to contact them and what they can help you with. And there's also this button here, which is the faculty contacts. So this is the local TEL support teams that I mentioned. And if you click on it, it takes you to this page. And depending on what department you belong to and who you work for, there are specific emails and people that can actually help you, and you can contact them directly. Those are the TEL specialists in your departments. Okay, so if I was from SSPP, I could contact Simon here or Suzanne and get some assistance with whatever it is I'm trying to do. All right, so all this is accessible from the support staff help pages and the content that we have on these pages, and also the buttons on the side here. All right, so let me get that out of the way and go back to the presentation. All right, so we're going to start off with the core tools that we have around the college, which you can use for, with your colleagues or with your students. And starting off, I'd like to start off with, obviously, Keats is the main tool that we use around the college. It's based on an open source technology called Moodle. If you come from another institution, maybe you've also used Moodle in that institution. It is one of the most popular open source learning management systems used around higher education. We call our version Keats because we customized it for our King's College London context, but it is based on technology called Moodle. It's open source technology. This means that it's free to download. You can even download it on your local computer, maybe at home, and have your very own version of Moodle running there. And open source also means that it's free and that anyone can actually, if you know the details and technology behind it, you can actually customize it to do things that the original designers and developers maybe, hadn't thought of and hadn't put in the system in the beginning. So that's why we use it here at the college. The previous system that we used was Blackboard, and that is a system from the private sector, so we had to pay to use that system. But Moodle is free, and we can use it for free. It's an online space that you can use to support modules, facilitate student discussions and interactions, communicate with your students or other colleagues, assessment. So it's not necessarily just for teaching. Maybe you could have a research space, maybe a project space where you could come together with other colleagues and share resources. Maybe you could have an events page for your department if you're from the professional services team. So there are a number of different ways that you can use it, but it does offer you an online space where you can put content. It does support a variety of different tools, resources, and activities. So resources, the participants are a little bit more passive. It's just content they can access, things like files, images, videos, podcasts, whatever. Activities, the participants are a little bit more active. They actually contribute, they interact with the content. So we could have forums, quizzes, databases, glossaries, things like that. And there's also a number of other features that Keats has, which can be very motivating to specifically students participating in a course or module. The progress bar, which shows them how far along they are with the course content, if they've completed the assignments, if they completed different types of activities. And there's also badges that can be awarded to students for specific types of accomplishments, like getting a really good grade at a quiz, or being really participating a lot in the forums. Okay, and these can be very helpful for students as a motivational factor. The design of each of the module spaces is customizable, so you could change, so you could design the way that it looks. Let me see if I can bring up the webinar page from previously. Oops, maybe too far back. There we go. So everything here is customizable. You can change the number of sections that you have in your Keats space. You can change the content, the type of content that appears on the sides over here. You can change the titles. You can change, you can have images or videos, or you can add a banner up here. There's all sorts of things that you can do. So it's completely customizable by, I guess, the course space administrator, or whoever that is. Okay, so this is why we chose Moodle, and this is why we use it, and our own version of Moodle is called Keats. There are a number of CPD sessions available if you would like to learn more about Keats, and these range from 1 to 3. 1 is the really basic session where we introduce you to what Keats is, how you can customize your learning space, and how you can add resources to it. Keats 2 is more about engaging the students with different types of activities. And Keats 3 is all about personalizing the learner experience and adding those sort of motivating features that I talked about, like the progress bar, conditional release, where you actually lock down content unless the student has done something before. So you can imagine them not being able to access section 2 unless they've successfully completed the quiz in section 1. Okay, so there's a number of more advanced things that you can do with Keats, and Keats 3 is where we discuss those. There's also the learning analytics session, which is called Analyzing Student Behavior Online. So whenever someone goes online to Keats and, whatever they do, they interact with the space, they download resources, they participate in a forum, complete a quiz, whatever, everything is recorded in Moodle or Keats logs. And what you can do, you can analyze those logs to see, what are students doing inside my Keats space? What are the more popular resources? What are the less popular resources? Those kind of things. So you can get an idea on the different behavioral patterns of the students on the Keats space. And there are a number of, there is a CPD, on Turnitin as well. So this is all about assessment and feedback that my colleague Charles runs, and a number of other colleagues. And then there's also another webinar that you can attend, which is sort of Keats 1 and 2 sort of really kind of blended together in one hour session. Okay, but you don't get any hands-on experience with these, whilst these sessions here happen in our computer room, so you can also get some practice while you're doing it. So these are face-to-face sessions right here. If you want more information, you can always access this website here, which is our website. Oh, there we go, Center for Technology Enhanced Learning. And if you go to Training and CPD, you can see all the different sessions that we run. Okay. All right, and that was Keats. So the next technology that I want to talk about is called lecture capture. If you're a teacher, you probably know about this already. It's an in-class tool which can record slides, audio, and video content. Okay, so by default, wherever it is installed, it can record slides and audio. So that means whatever is being projected on the computer screen and also the audio that's coming from the microphone. In some select lecture theaters, I'm not sure which ones, there is a number of those, you can also record the video. So if you want, you can also, record yourself presenting, if that's something that you want to do. You can tell if a room has lecture capture because usually on the lectern there is this small lamp which goes red when it's recording, or yellow when the recording has been paused, and you can pause it just by tapping on that lamp at the top, and if it's white it means that it's not recording. All lectures are recorded unless there's a specific reason not to. If you would like one reason might be that you are sharing maybe patient confidential details, so you wouldn't want that to be captured. So if there is a specific reason that you don't want the lecture to be captured, this is something that you need to discuss with your faculty specifically, okay? With your TEL people at your faculty at a local level. It's installed in around 150 rooms, although that might have increased lately. The recording is available an hour or two after the live lecture. And there is a CPD session which covers lecture capture a little bit, and it's called Bringing Technology into Your Lecture. So this session talks about technology that we can use inside the lecture theater itself. So maybe something like Poll Everywhere, lecture capture, different digital projectors that we can use. We can even bring Skype into our sessions. So this session goes over those types of technologies that you can bring into the face-to-face session. You can also read up on a number of case studies on using Echo 360 from this website, and you can see how it's being used in a number of other institutions by reading up on different case studies, just to see, if you want to find out more about best practice or how other people are using it, then this is probably the go-to place. Let me just close these up. Okay. Now, it is a very controversial subject, lecture capture. Before I go into that, there are a number of resources. If you have the presentation downloaded, and you can click on these files here, and you can download some more KCL specific information about lecture capture if you'd like to know more. Lecture capture is a pretty controversial subject around the college. I don't really want to go into that. There are a lot of arguments for and against. Personally, the main benefit of lecture capture is that it makes the learning and the content much more accessible for students, not just people with disabilities, but people who have busy lives or have day jobs and they can only access the content maybe late in the evening or at night. You can make those lectures available to those kind of people. And also it is probably the #1 tool or technology that students actually request to have implemented. All right, so it is very popular with the students. So there are a number of for against arguments. Don't want to go into that, but it is available for you to use. And I can show you a very quick example here of what it looks like. You can see here a screenshot. So this is a recorded presentation. This is what the student will see. Basically just a video player that they can scroll through and watch the whole of the content, or just go to the specific sections that they want. If you have recorded lectures or sessions, you can access this page here, and then you can see a complete list of all the sessions that you have recorded. Okay, and you can link Keats to these sessions, and the link inside Keats will look like this. So this is what the students will click on to access the lecture capture content. Okay. All right, moving on. Poll Everywhere, I've mentioned it numerous times already. We've used it already, just to see who is with us here and what department they're from and how long they've been with King's. It's an in-class polling and decision-making tool for active learning and student participation. So you can imagine that you're giving a lecture, and then at some point you can pause on the lecture and ask the students a question, maybe on the material that you've covered already, or the material that you're going to cover in the next slides, and you can see, maybe you can gauge their understanding. How much they know about the content that I'm covering. Are they really paying attention? You can also initiate debates and discussions based on what type of questions you can ask people. Okay, you can even use it for logistical decisions of the type, when would you like the next lecture to take place, Thursday or Friday, those kind of things. Currently, it's being used by a number of staff and students. If you want to request a license, Poll Everywhere is free to use. You can download it and use it on your own. But if you want some more additional features, like different types of questions that you can use, different types of things that you can do with it, you must first come to our Active Learning Poll Everywhere CPD. And then once you've completed that successfully, you can get a license to get those additional features for the tool. You can click on this link to go to the app page for Poll Everywhere, and you can download it for your mobile phone, and you can download and integrate with PowerPoint or Keynote or Google Slides, depending on what you prefer to use. So you can integrate it and almost seamlessly insert polls into your PowerPoint or whatever presentations. There's a number of different types of questions that you can use. So the most basic one is obviously a multiple choice question. People can respond through a web browser or even through a text message. Other types of questions include image type questions, where you ask participants to actually put a pin on a specific part of an image. So you can imagine using this with in dentistry or anatomy or geography, different types of contexts that you can use this for. Apologies if that image makes you squeamish. Should have probably mentioned that before. Okay, moving on. All right, over to you again. So why would you use Poll Everywhere? So again, it's that same URL. So if you already have it open, you can just refresh that page. So I think you can answer up to 3 times here. How would you use Poll Everywhere? All right, you could, allow students to vote on logistical matters. So when do you want the next lecture to be? Thursday, Friday, wherever. Students to decide how the presentation should proceed. So, maybe give a little bit of control back to the students. You could tell them we could continue with section 2 or section 3. Which content would you like to continue with? Maybe that gives them a sense more of ownership of the lecture, and it does get them a little bit more motivated and engaged with the content. Initiate discussion. So it allows for a more dynamic sort of presentation rather than just a linear sequence of slides. To initiate discussions and debates, very good, and to check students' understanding of the content that you covered, maybe so far. All right, so hopefully most of you have responded here and see the most popular option is to initiate discussions and debates. Again, that sort of depends on the context and what you're trying to teach, or what content you're presenting, I guess. All right, so thank you very much for that. Moving on. Another core tool we've covered so far: Keats, Lecture Capture, and Poll Everywhere. Another core tool is called Camtasia Studio, and it's a very basic video editor that you can use. You can record and publish videos and screencasts. So if you want to record yourself maybe and give a presentation that way to the students, maybe cover some follow-up material or something that you didn't have time to cover in the lecture itself, or maybe you want to promote a lecture or you want to promote a whole module, you can record with your webcam through your computer and edit your video and publish that to the students. You can also do screencasts. So maybe you want to showcase students, your Keats module, give them a quick orientation tour, or maybe you want to show them a specific tool that you want to be using, maybe a statistical software package or whatever. You can also do a screencast tutorial for that. Currently 68 licenses used around the college. Again, like with Poll Everywhere, if you want to request a license, you must first attend our Camtasia CPD. You can download a free trial for 30 days from the Camtasia website. Okay, additional tools that we have at the college here. Oops, come back. King's Image Library is a service owned by King's College London that you can use to search for image content and copyright-free content. So I guess most of you probably use Google Images or something like that, but sometimes the content that you can find on there is not necessarily, copyright free, and you're not, allowed to use it necessarily. But we do have our own sort of image library here that you can log in. It's quite an old system, so if your password doesn't work, contact IT to kind of get them up to speed that you want to use it. So, maybe I want to search for sunsets because I'm a romantic person. Then there's a number of pictures on sunsets that I can use here. So you can very safely and positively use these, and be confident in using these, that you're not violating any copyright laws, because these are these are questions. These are pictures, images that the college owns and that you can use. Okay, so you can use this to stylize maybe your presentations or whatever. Okay, all right. So you can access that from here. Another tool that you can use is King's Blogs. It's a site that hosts blogs excuse me, for department staff and research groups at King's. You can very easily access it from here. You can see an example right here on the slide where from the IOPPN, King's Online at the IOPPN, they're using it with their articles. For technical queries, you can always contact IT. If you want to request a blog, you can very easily, you can very easily follow this website and request a blog of your own. And you can always click on View Our Blogs to see, what are other people doing with their blogs, how are they presenting content, what type of content they're presenting, and what is it all about. So you can use it for events, for research. You can even use it as an assignment. If you have students, you can use it as an assignment for your students, maybe optional or mandatory or whatever, for them to kind of record their own progress through the course content, and how their understanding of the subject that you're covering is is evolving as they're going through the content. All right, can be very, very useful for the students as well as a motivational factor, as a for different types of social interactions that they can have with each other. Okay, so this is available here for you, blogskcl.ac.uk, and you can request your own blog for whatever reason. Another system is called Mahara, which is an e-portfolio system which can be used to capture evidence of work or collaborations on projects or different types of activities. To learn more about Mahara, there is a specific CPD on Mahara e-portfolios. Let me just show you what it looks like. It seamlessly integrates with Keats. What you have to do, if you want to use it in your course space, you have to add a block like this, which is much easier than you might think. And then students or colleagues, they can just click here and they can click through seamlessly. They don't have to enter their username or password again, and they can just access the King's ePortfolio system. Let me show you what it can look like. So this is the portfolio system. This is a few portfolios that I put together previously. So this is just, describing a learning analytics project. It's made up of 4 pages. And you can see here I have maybe a description of the project, so I can include text. I can include images. I can embed documents or videos. And it all happens very easily in a sort of a drag and drop manner, which I'll show you in a little bit. So there you go. You see you can add profile pictures, different types of information on the side. You can customize the layout, how many types of, how many number of columns do you want to have on your page. It's very, very easy to use. So you can imagine maybe using this to promote a research project or a grant application or whatever, or you can even use it with your students to have them, if you have them working on a project, to sort of detail the what went through the project, how they work together, and the different type of resources that they used or created. So let me see if I can go here to content. Oh, no, portfolio. So let's say I want to edit, this page here, list of references, I think it's called. So you can see I can edit the layout. So, how many columns do I want to have? How do I want my content arranged? I can select that from here. Let's say I want to have maybe 3 columns. And then I save. Again, I'm going through this very quickly. You should attend the CPD if you're more interested. And then on the side here, you can see we have different types of content that I can add. So I can add, I can add some text maybe in this column, which I can then, edit, blah, blah. And then I can add an image maybe in this column. Again, I'm not going to do it right now. And then I can also maybe add a comment section, different types of things, journal links, videos, embedded media videos, PDFs, HTML, if I want to do that. And you can see how very easily I can just drag and drop this in my different sections here and put together my ePortfolio. Okay, and again, this is seamlessly integrated through Keats. You can add this thing here on the side as a block, and your students or whoever can just click here and go through to the ePortfolio system. If you want to find out more, you can always attend our Mahara CPD session. All right, another system which is pretty recently been acquired by King's College is Lyndacom, which is an online training library with thousands of engaging video tutorials on a number of different subjects. There are student and staff recommended playlists available. So if I click over here, that's going to take me to the Lyndacom page for King's College. And if I scroll down, you can see, there's some playlists on learning how to actually use Lynda.com, and there are also some suggested playlists for students with different types of skills, and there's some suggested playlists for staff as well. Okay, so let's say I click here, I'm a student, I want to, personal skills. What do they recommend for me? Learning with Lynda, increasing your reading speed, advanced reading tips, different types of videos and training that students can watch online. You can, of course, create your own playlists. Maybe, you find content which is more specific to what you're trying to teach or what you're trying to do. You can create your own playlists for and share with your students. Usually, why would you want to use this? You use it if you want to, if something that you cover with your students, if you you don't have to necessarily create something from scratch, but you can direct your students to content that's already available here and professionally developed. Another reason might be, you might want to sort of level the playing field of skills that your students have. So before you assign them a project or a task, you want to just make sure that everyone knows how to use, PowerPoint or Word or whatever specific type of tool. Okay, so you can direct them to these training sessions, ask them to do the training, and then you can be certain that everyone knows how to undertake a specific task. All right. And if you want to find out more about how to use lynda.com, there was a training session that's been recorded, and you can click through there and access that. Now, the system that we're currently using for our webinar is called Adobe Connect, and you can also use it inside your Keats space. There is training on how to use it through lynda.com, and there are licenses available, but you can get these through your local TEL contacts. There is a video training of how to actually use the tool. So why would you want to use Adobe Connect? Well, maybe you want to do a follow-up session again with your students with content that you didn't have time to cover in the lecture or the event or the seminar itself. So you can do a live session with your students through Adobe Connect, and maybe get that interaction with them, present to them some content, or get some discussions or questions going. Let me show you how to do. Where is my thing? There it is. So if I go back to this page, if I turn editing on to edit this page, I want to add an activity or resource, and right at the top here is Adobe Connect. So it's that simple. You turn editing on, and you select Adobe Connect from the list of activities, and then you just set the specific date and time when the online session is going to take place. And then people, like you did to join the session, people can very easily join the meeting from their from their devices, their computers or laptops or whatever. Okay, so this is where you can find Adobe Connect in the add an activity or resource area. Another type of tool is called a MOOC. Maybe you've heard of these. These are massive open online courses. Some examples include Coursera, Udacity, Harvard X from the University of Harvard. But the one that King's College uses mainly is called FutureLearn. Okay. Now, MOOCs are courses that anyone can take online. They don't have to necessarily be a King's College student or staff member or whatever. And they can take these courses. Sometimes these courses are highly specialized. You can see some of the examples from King's College right here. And at the end, people can also get a certificate. Some of the times they have to actually pay to get that certificate, but they can complete the course, they can do some assessment and projects work, and get a certificate on a specific specialization. Okay, and I think if I click here, that should take me to the FutureLearn space. Let me just close these up. And you can see, you can search for all different types of courses through here, but this specific page shows us, which courses have been made by King's College and are available to students. Okay, I think the first one that was ever made was Understanding Drugs Addiction, and now there's a version in Chinese as well, which is useful. All right, if you're interested in putting together your own MOOC, please contact King's Online through this link. They're the people responsible for putting together the content, developing the content, and generally managing the whole process of putting together a MOOC course online. So yeah, feel free to explore FutureLearn and see what King's College has there as their offerings, and generally, have a look at these MOOCs and see maybe you can incorporate some of these and, provide these to the students as optional material that they can have a look at as well, depending on what you're trying to teach them. And finally, we have Bob, which is Box of Broadcasts. Now, if you've never heard of this, this might come to a surprise to you, but this will probably make attending this nearly 1 hour webinar worthwhile. So it's an on-demand DVN radio service for educational purposes, hopefully, what you can find is King's College is a subscribing institution, and you can find whatever has been aired, different types of programs that have been aired from over 65 free-to-air channels. So you have your BBC, your ITVs, your Channel 4s, anything that's been aired, and that includes, documentaries, soap operas, news, any type of content. Let me show you what it looks like. I'll click on that link here. You can log in. Why is that taking so long? Okay, here it is. Through this website, you have to select your institution, which is King's College London, obviously. Click go, your regular sort of King's College thing. For some reason, lately it's been asking for my password twice. I'm not sure why, but we're going to have to go through this again. King's College London. Okay, and now I'm into the system. And you can see here, if this loads up, you can see that I can actually create my own playlists as well. So I can have, a playlist of nature documentaries, history documentaries, technology documentaries, science, even movies or travel documentaries. And I can share these with my students. Maybe I saw a very interesting program last night and I want to share that with the students. And students can access these lists as well. What you can also do, let me see if I can have this work. So let's say I want to show them, maybe I just want to show them a specific section from a documentary or a program. I don't want to have them access the whole thing or watch the whole thing. I just want to have them focus on something. Then I can click on this button which says make clip, and that will take me to the interface where I can actually slice that video and select just a specific section of that video that I want to share with my students or colleagues. Okay, and you can also go to the guide section here, and you can see, what's been playing on these channels recently. You can even go quite far back. I think a few years. What was last Friday? What was being played? What was being broadcast? And you can request programs if they're not available currently, or otherwise you can just download them. Don't download them. View them online. Instantly. Okay, so some of these are available to watch instantly, whilst others you have to actually request for them, and it's a pretty quick service. I mean, within the same day that you request a program, it does become available for you to watch. And you can always search for any type of program that you're interested in, or playlists that maybe other people have put together. All right, so hopefully that sort of covers your Saturday night entertainment. No. Use it for educational purposes, obviously. All right. So this is Bob, box of broadcasts that you can also use for your training and teaching needs. Any questions or comments? We're coming to the end of the session very quickly. Any questions or comments? Please share with us right now. I'll give you a few moments in the text area. I hope you're not all off watching Bob programs and you're still with us. Okay, I can see we have 9 participants, so I'm guessing everyone's here, which is great. And hopefully everyone can hear us still. Yep. So no questions, nothing from anyone. Ben, do you have any questions? Okay. All right, so if there's no questions, we have a few questions for you. So out of the tools which we just covered, which do you currently use? So which are the tools that you currently use and you were actually already familiar with? All right, so again, refresh that Poll Everywhere page and let us know what tools do you currently use in your teaching or professional lives. All right, a lot of people obviously using Keats. It's one of the main tools. Yep. All right, some people even using Mahara. Great. Okay, good to see that no one's using Bob, so maybe that came as a delightful surprise to you that we have access to that type of system. It's been a well-kept secret around the college. It was mainly used by the Film Studies department for obvious reasons, but the cat's out of the bag now, and people are really starting to use it. and become familiar with it. All right, so if most of you have contributed to this poll, we can see that most people obviously use Keats. I think you can add up to 3 responses. Some people already use the King's Image Library, which is surprising to me. Adobe Connect, not many people using it. And then Lyndacom, a few people using it as well. Oh, okay, Bhavini says she's using Adobe Connect, which works really well, which is great for that. Maybe you could share with us in the chat area how do you use it? Do you use it as a follow-up session for your students, or just to showcase to them a specific tool, or just maybe you could use it as office hours as well, I guess, in a way. Okay, nice. All right, so thanks for participating in this poll. And the next question actually asks you, which which tools are you most interested in learning more about? Okay, so this is not about what you currently use, but what you would like to use. What would you like to learn more about? And I did cover a few of our CPD sessions, which cover some of these tools, in which you can attend to find out more. Okay, help sessions, very interesting. Just some timely help sessions right when students need it. They should probably appreciate that. It's really good. Okay, so we can see a range of responses here. People are really interested in Adobe Connect, poll everywhere, Keats and Linda. Really good, really good. Very interesting. And hopefully, just being aware of the different type of tools that are out there and what they can do, that kind of gets you thinking of, how can I engage with my students a little bit more? How can I motivate them a little bit more to participate? And with our CPDs and different content and resources that we have online, hopefully we can assist you in what you're trying to achieve. All right. So that was the session for today. We've covered the core tools, what is institutionally supported by King's, by the TEL faculty, by the TEL teams around the faculties, and different resources that we have out there. What are some of the additional tools that you might want to use? And then also, where can you actually go for support and guidance if you want to use these tools? Apologies for me feeling a bit queasy during the session. I feel a bit much better now, probably need to get some lunch. Any questions or comments from you? Any final questions or comments? Please send those through the chat area now. If you want to do some additional reading, we do highly recommend the Teaching with Technology session on lynda.com, or there's a MOOC by University of London on practical teaching with technology, and there's also a book that you can find in our library here at KCL, E-Learning by Design. So all of these are related to technology enhancing learning with the different features that it has. What's next for you? You can always attend any of our other sessions, but we also encourage you to please go to that Keats area for this webinar, complete that feedback section, and also maybe try out the quiz and see if you can get that silver badge, which you can then showcase on your Keats front page. Any final questions from you guys? All right, this is how you can access the feedback in the quiz, just as a reminder. We'll stick around maybe until past. If there are any final questions or comments which we can respond to. If there's not, and you're leaving us, thank you again for devoting your lunchtime to this. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll see you soon maybe in one of our other sessions. Thank you very much.